The official season, but here we are. It's going to be 6 red lights for the start of our 3rd official preseason event, and they are away. J.S.RA Robinson sitting on pole position in that yellow Chevy Cruze gets away nicely, leading them away. Kurt Moss big in second position. Raven Plummer on the inside in the red car right next to him. They're heading down into the braking zone. It's going to be easy for J.S.RA Robinson here. It's him by himself heading into T1, but Kurt Moss fighting off Plummer to stay ahead, and he manages to do so. Jaden Harrison moves up 1 position, or rather keeps his position, P4. It's actually looking like the status quo has remained exactly how it was from the qualifying session. The driver is managing to get away cleanly, heading now down into turn 7, the hairpin. Heading now down into turn 7, the hairpin. We're seeing moves up and down the grid. It's Senna Somerville trying to make a move on Daniel Velez, and manages to do so. That's the first move so far for Somerville, but it looks as though Velez may be caught out on a back foot now. It's a little trio heading into Piratella. The fast left-hander, and there's contact there for Roger Keller. Unfortunate for him, but it's a dream for Somerville, who moves up now into 5th position, followed by Espinosa right on his tail, who has Mikhail Charles for company 7th now from 9th. Right side now, heading down the start-finish straight, but Plummer behind Robinson will have the slipstream, and 2 becomes 3 now as they head almost 4 wide down the start finish straight here at Imola. It has been quite a clean first lap, but it's going to be 3 wide heading down into the first corner. Jaden Harrison there waiting for an opportunity to get back, and they managed to get cleanly through turn 1, but Kurt Moss snatches that position from J.S.RA Robinson, and they all managed to keep it clean through the first couple of corner. Ladies and gentlemen, oh my goodness, it's anyone's race. Jaden Harrison in 4th position, watching it all unfold in front of him, waiting for an opportunity to get himself involved. And here's Plummer now trying to get by Robinson, but it's not sticking. Espinosa now looking in his rearview mirror as Mikhail Charles not leaving him alone. But speaking of leave alone, here's Jaden Harrison pushing J.S.RA Robinson down the track. He is closer than he was before, and I think he's tired of waiting. It's only been 2 laps, but here he is, and J.S.RA Robinson makes the same mistake as the first lap and gives that position away. Harrison moves up now into P2, and it's disaster for Robinson, starting on pole position, now down in 4th.
Because the 2 calibers of drivers, Mr. Massive as well as Mr. Harrison, will definitely put on a good show to cap off the first race of this evening. But yes, we will also be looking at the chase top race calendar, and I think we'll go into more detail. Wow, they're getting really touchy there, Mr. Roper.
wanted to ask you to pause, but I was just watching in awe as Jaden Harrison made an amazing move there, going down the inside of Kurt Moss. But he loses it on the exit of Ravazza, the final corner. Jaden there, using up the official preseason testing for all it's worth. I think he now knows that he's got to be a little bit more tentative on the corner exit there, especially when going side by side with other drivers. Unfortunate occurrence there for Jaden losing it, especially in the
Daytona circuit as somewhat of a pre-race to our upcoming 12-hour of Daytona event on February 10th, that we will be entering a team into the GT3 class. So yeah, we will be having a stream tomorrow, just as maybe a pre-race to that endurance event, as the race actually comes to an end, Mr. Roper. With Miss Plummer at P1. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, the race comes to an end, but we have more racing action coming up in a few short moments. For the first race, it's Raven Plummer taking the checkered flag, finishing this race in first position. Roger Robinson, who started on pole position, finishes in second, and Senna Somerville, it may be the preseason, but this is his debut in the CTCC cars, and he has finished on the podium. Daniel Velez, an excellent showing from him, finishing in fourth position. Kurt Moss managing to scrape back to fifth position after that incident with Jaden Harrison. Mikhail Charles fought off Ruben Espinosa and finishes in sixth position. Kimani Eastman finishes in seventh, followed by Ruben Espinosa in eighth, Roger Keller in ninth, and Eric Ferreira in 9th, Jaden Harrison finishes in 10th, and Nigel Edwards in 11th. Yes, Mr. Stewart, you were saying. And speaking of events, we are just about to kick off into the second race for this evening. It's going to be a reverse grid, meaning that Jaden Harrison will be starting on pole position, lining up right next to Edwards. In third position is Ferreira, Roger Keller in fourth, Kimani Eastman in fifth, Charles in sixth, Moss in seventh. Behind him is Velez, Somerville, Robinson, and Plummer. And the drivers, we're going to hear them revving and ready to go. 6 red lights, and they are away for the start of the second race for the night. It looks as though Jaden Harrison starting in the same position where Jay Robinson did in the first race. That's exactly where you want to be as he gets away very cleanly, heading down into the first corner. A bit of contact there in, I think that was between Edwards and Ferreira. Ferreira dropping back a few positions. Someone is almost sideways in the road, but Mikhail Charles holds on to it. It's a bit more dusty and dirty out there now for the start of the second race, and Jaden Harrison already has a 2.5 second lead over the rest of the field. Nothing doing there. Mikhail Charles now closing down the gap to Jaden Harrison ahead. Jaden perhaps making a few mistakes. They're going a bit wide, allowing Mikhail Charles to snatch that position up. And there's Kurt Moss. I think that was Roger Keller going a bit deep there into the penultimate corner, making some contact with Kurt Moss. Roger Keller, they're losing out a few positions. And there's Kurt Moss on the back of Raven Plummer. Kurt moves to the outside, trying to take his normal racing line. Raven Plummer will have to go defensive heading to the first section of corners. Jaden Harrison still in second position, trying to get that position back, but Kurt Moss is trying to make a move around the outside on Raven Plummer. Raven makes the car very wide. Here's Kurt now going down the inside, taking up space, but Raven, I think she gave him the space, and he's gonna have to try a little bit harder than that to get by her, going around the outside, trying to switch back now, heading up the chicane, up the hill. Raven runs out wide, and Kurt Moss says, Thank you very much. It's not over yet though. Side by side going over the hill, heading now into Piratella. He thinks better of it. Or does he? Yes, he does. Drops back just a little bit. He had it there. Not quite like taking candy from a baby, as he still has it all to fight for. It's Fender and Quarter between them here. Very close between the drivers, but Plummer goes wide into Aqua Minerale and loses out of position. She tries to get up right back behind Moss, but it's Somerville side by side with Raven. Plummer heading now down into the third chicane. And it looks as though Roger Robinson is trying to make a... Kurt Moss now leads this race from Jaden Harrison, still only 7 tenths between them. But speaking of gaps, it's 2 tenths between Somerville and Rogers, and they're still trying to get that car slowed down, but you could see the gap still getting closer and closer. That Mitsubishi just not quite able to get slowed down in time, and Rogers is sent back into back into the gravel. A bit wide as well, coming on the exit of that chicane, allowing Jaden Harrison to get right up behind that rear wing of his, and Raven Plummer is also in the mix, 7 tenths behind, followed closely by Robinson. But it's the two blue machines heading through Piratella now for the 5th time, heading down into Aqua Minerale. They are so close, almost close for comfort here, but these are two exceptionally talented drivers, and we are getting so much action from them now. These 4 are inseparable. In the first race, it was Moss, Harrison, Plummer, and Robinson, and in the second race, guess what? It's them again. 2 blues, a red, and a yellow. Can you imagine what we're going to be seeing going?
Girls with their nails done now.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kilvin Roper, and thanks for joining us again for the continuation of our official preseason. We are here back at Brands Hatch with the well-known, well-loved CTCC, that's the Caribbean Touring Cup, the Caribbean Touring Car Championship. Our favorites so far, well, your favorite, the viewers' favorites to watch so far, and we're here around Brands Hatch, one of the most popular British tracks about it is 3.9 kilometers, basically 4 kilometers of quick corners, slow corners, hairpins, fast corners. Basically, we're going to be here tonight for a lovely time, having some excellent racing from these drivers yet again in the CTCC cars. And, spirits are high tonight, coming off the back of an excellent racing event. We were invited by the FIA to our fourth international event, the Digital Autosport of Ukraine in the GT3 Solo Endurance Series for their 2024 season. Our results on our debut was P2. I believe that's P2 for Jaden Harrison and P13 for Joshua Brady after serving 2 drive-through penalties. So that's an excellent performance from some of our talent here at the JSRA. So we're going to be looking forward to some more action from them here tonight around Brands Hatch in the CTCC cars, which we all know and love. And watching over them will be our brand new Chief Steward, Nicholas Donald, who is the Commissioner of Sim Racing for the Jamaica Millennium Motoring Club. He is linked to the FIA and will be our connection to the FIA. And Nicholas Donald, you're going to be seeing a lot more of him as he ensures that we have clean racing and ensure that things stay clean out there on track and off track as well. So there is clearly a lot going on. For those of you who didn't know that this event was going to be going on, I'm going to encourage everyone to stay up to date by following our social media accounts. On Instagram, you can search for JSRA Official, search for us on Facebook, the Jamaica Sim Racing Association, or watch us live here on Twitch. Thanks for tuning in live here on Twitch, or on YouTube by searching for @JSRA_official. Those are our official handles where you can keep up to date with what's happening here on and off track. Speaking of on and off track, we have 13 minutes left in this qualifying session. Not seeing any drivers hit the track just as yet. Perhaps waiting for... We're having a slight issue here, a bit of technical difficulties. Just ironing out the kinks here in the preseason. That's what it is for. But we're definitely expecting these drivers to get out on track sooner rather than later and put in some excellent qualifying performances. Earlier, we saw, so far we've heard talk of drivers, of course, constantly beating each other's times. We don't have any. I unfortunately don't have the data up here right now, but as soon as we get qualifying going, we're going to be seeing those times coming in and drivers competing to set the fastest time. And speaking of speed, coming up soon, we will be having another endurance event. The 12 Hours of Daytona is going to be on Saturday, and we have 4 drivers entering that event. Michelle Wallace, well known and loved here at the JSRA, one of our top talents, even though he won't want to admit it. Jaden Harrison, we all know Jaden Harrison, our host with the most, Chad Dillon, and Rajay Robinson. So those are our 4 top drivers who are going to be representing the JSRA coming up on Saturday in the 12 hours of Daytona. And for those of us who are in the motorsports world, and if you're watching or listening, then clearly you're part of the motorsport world. But even if you didn't hear about it, the real life Daytona endurance event took place just a couple of days ago, and that was that was a race to watch. It's unfortunate I was not able to watch it in person, but that's why we have sim racing. When you miss it in real life, you can come drive it yourself. All you need is, well, I was going to say all you need is a computer and a wheel, but you don't even need those things. You can come check us out at the Jamaica Advanced Simulation Center. We are at 30 Dunrobin Avenue, or you can just you can set an appointment by just DMing us on Instagram, our primary social media handle. So if you want to dial in your sim racing prowess or begin your journey down this very long and opportunistic path of sim racing, then by all means, please, we invite talents of all variations, whether you're beginning or you are a veteran in the business. We invite you to join our community, our growing community of sim racers and sim racing enthusiasts. So I will ask you to continue to bear with us. Or as a matter of fact, quali is now underway. I need that stream, Stephen. Quali is now underway. And those times that I was talking about, we're about to start seeing those times coming in as we see the driver leading the pack at the moment it's not even leading with the pack. I believe Roger Robinson, he's already started his fast lap out there in the Chevy Cruze. Following closely behind him is driver number 5, Nicholas Donald. So Nicholas, I suppose it's the preseason before he finds himself in the big chair watching over the drivers on the track. He is getting as much seat time in as he can. Maybe trying to learn a thing or two, or teach a thing or two here out on track. Please accept my apologies on behalf of the JSRA. We were for the technical difficulties we've had at the start of the stream here. For your viewing pleasure and to ensure the credibility of our racing, we were testing out some new penalty systems, and it was throwing up a few bugs here and there, but we've gotten everything sorted, and we are well underway now, as is Roger Robinson, who momentarily set the fastest time so far. But right now it's Jaden Harrison, the man on provisional pole, with a 1 minute 38.2. But Roger Robinson may have something to say about that, 2/10 up in the first sector. Following Jaden and Roger Robinson is Raven Plummer out and setting very quick times, a 1:38.4 from her. Very close between the top 3 drivers so far. Only 2/10 separate the top 3. Senna Somerville, after an excellent debut performance here at the JSRA, placing on the podium in our last CTCC event, preseason event rather. He is currently on the second row in fourth position on 138.6 from Somerville, followed closely by Roger Keller with a 139.1. Coming off an excellent international event result, Joshua Brady with a 139.2, followed by Kimani Eastman with a 139.3. It is very close up and down the grid, but the field seems to be separated in half there at around 7th position. Quite a gap there between Eastman and Tremblay. Mikhail Charles yet to set a representative time, a 1:40.0. Not quite what we expect from Mikhail Charles, but I'm sure we're going to see him back out on track to set another time. But here is Nicholas Donald in a little bit of traffic here, it seems. Going down the hill into the fast right-hander. Or maybe there is enough space. Nope, he could manage to get past in his Toyota Corolla. It's a bit dark here. But not quite dark enough to trouble Nicholas to turn those headlights on. Clearly not affected by the headlights behind him. And Roger Robinson, who set the fastest lap right out the gates. He was denied by Jaden Harrison, but has come back again with a response, a 138.033. The fastest time so far, just about 2.5 tenths faster than Jaden Harrison. Jaden catching right back up now, only 0.07 of a second between them. It's a 138.1 from Jaden Harrison. And here's Nicholas Donald across the line, not improving, or rather with an improvement, to a 141.4. But Jaden Harrison there, even though he improved, he wasn't able to push that Lancer quite fast enough to retake his position on provisional pole. Meanwhile, Roger Keller managed to get past Kimani Eastman with a 139.1. Things are ramping up here with about 10 minutes left in qualifying. And here's Jaden Harrison, almost 4 tenths up on his best time in the first sector. If he can keep that momentum going, he sets the fastest middle sector as well. Not really much of an improvement, only 0.02 of a second, and he goes wide. That would be invalidating his lap, but if he managed to keep it going, that 0.02 of a second may have been everything that he needed to put himself back on pole position, but it may not be enough now as Roger Robinson sets a 137.8. He is absolutely dishing them out tonight around Brands Hatch. That Chevy Cruze is showing to be quite a machine, and Joshua Brady seeming to get up to speed now with a 138.8 from Brady, moving himself up into 5th position, showing that he is, he just represented his organization and his country. He's definitely gonna show up and show out tonight, and moves himself up into 5th position. Mikhail Charles with an improvement, no improvement just yet. Still in the 140s is Mikhail Charles, but he is pushing that Lancer for all he can get from it as he goes down the hill up into the fast right-hander now. But here's Raven Plummer, personal best in the first sector, fastest of all the drivers so far in the middle sector, only 0.6 off pole position. Any improvement here on this lap, and it's going to be putting her into the top 3. And it's interesting to note here that I believe Robinson is using the Cruze, Plummer is using the Cruze, but Harrison and Somerville, I believe, are both using the Mitsubishi Evolution. So there's a bit of diversity here amongst our top drivers so far. And here's Raven Plummer coming across the line. Oh, just not quite putting it together there, losing out in the final sector. 8 tenths down, but she is absolutely pushing there in the first corner, coming down the hill, using up as much track as possible, rounding the hairpin, getting back under the throttle, shift to the right side of the track to open up the third corner, going out here onto the AstroTurf, speeding along now, finding that braking point, heading up the hill and around this very, very long left-hander. It takes a bit of practice to get that corner right. It is one of the most tricky corners on this track. But it takes you over the hill and then crest the hill and then back down the hill, speeding down into the quick right-hander, just a dab of the brakes to help you get turned in. And again, another quick right-hander here, trying to scrub as little speed as possible. Momentum is what it's all about. Another quick flick to the right for Plummer, cresting that hill. You turn in for the corner before you even see it. Massive amounts of bravery here. Heading now down into the left-hander, keeping that momentum up. Coming now to the final couple of corners, the right-hander, and then stamping on that throttle, running out wide to make this track as straight as possible, and then tuck back into the right-hand side to make the track as short as possible. And that's an improvement for Raven Plummer, getting past Senna Somerville with a 138.2. Tenths, mere tenths separating drivers here, as we only have 5 minutes left in qualifying. This is exactly what we expected to see here around Brands Hatch, and especially so in the Caribbean Touring Car Championship Series. I said it before and I'll say it again. If this is only the preseason and we are seeing such efforts from drivers up and down the grid, we are in for something very special come the start of the official season. And if you want to know when that's going to be starting, just keep up to date with our social media, where we post all the updates and announcements, everything related to the JSRA. Or if you want to see, what our drivers are doing throughout the preseason in terms of highlights, it's not only structured events like these. We have we have open lobbies, we have traffic lobbies as well. It's not all serious, it's the spirit of sim racing is to have fun, and we are all about it. So join our Discord, and you can join that fun. As we see Mikhail Charles now joining the guys at the top, setting a personal best, a very fast personal best in the first sector, the fastest second sector of them all. Coming across the line now is Mikhail Charles, but it seems as though he had invalidated that lap. It was an excellent lap from him, but not quite putting it together. But here's Jaden Harrison coming across the line now. He too is unable to get it done. It was a valid lap, but it's a 137.827, 1.5 hundredths. My goodness, call it 100th slower than Rajay Robinson. We are dealing not in tenths here, ladies and gentlemen, but hundredths. I want to know what those guys are eating, especially Jaden, who just came off, an international event and still has the energy to be putting in lap times like these. It's absolutely crazy. But, that separates those who take this thing seriously from those who don't, Jaden Harrison is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and we're going to be posting those the FaceTime interviews, the one-on-one interviews, and Jaden Harrison is definitely on the list of those who will be posting those interviews to see where he has come from in terms of his sim racing journey, his sim racing career. And I won't say too much, but it's an inspiring story and shows that anyone can start sim racing if they just put the time in and they want to take it seriously, you know, it can really bring you places that you didn't even think were possible. So keep an eye out for those as we see Jaden Harrison back across the line, setting the fastest lap of them all with only 2 minutes left in this qualifying session. He tried, and he finally succeeded. Jaden Harrison dethroning Roger Robinson for that provisional pole. And Senna Somerville coming out with a bang, puts himself on the provisional podium so far. He's third with a 138.1, bringing the fight to Raven Plummer and Roger Keller. Also in the mix is Mikhail Charles. P3, 4, 5, and 6 is still up for grabs as we see them all within 200ths of each other. Let's see if Kimani Eastman can put himself in this fight as well. He crosses the line, but it's not quite enough. But here's Roger Keller now coming across the line. It's a 138.3, not beating his best time, but drivers are still out there on track. Here's Raven Plummer coming across the line, not good enough to improve, but Senna Somerville still out there now going through the last couple of corners here. Coming around the final corner, getting back on the throttle, moving out as wide as possible to keep that momentum up, and he's coming across the line, I think, to start his final lap. Let us stay on board with Senna Somerville, going over the hill, spotting his braking marker, braking and turning at the same time. Trail braking, very important here to keep that momentum up. You can gain a lot of time in the first corner, using up as much of the track exit as possible. Slight shift to the right, and then heavy braking, trailing off the brake, turning into the apex of that hairpin, and then back on the throttle, switching to the right-hand side to open up the third corner and running out as wide as the track limits will allow you. And Somerville does that very well. Coming up to this very tricky, very long, you have left-hander, you have to be very patient, find the apex, ride the apex, and then get right back on the throttle, aiming for a part of the track you can't see as yet. I'm telling you, this track is no easy feat. No, it is the run down one of the back stretches, which approaches a very quick right-hander, which is followed by a couple of other right-handers just dipping a wheel into the grass there. Personal best in the first sector for Somerville, flicking that car right, not running out too wide. It's all sand and gravel there for you to collect you if you make a mistake. Now cresting the hill again, flicking the car to the right, keeping your foot as flat as possible. I'm not sure if that counts as an invalidation. Let's see what happens when he comes across the line, if he does improve. But it was a very good lap there from Somerville so far, coming up to the final corner here. And then straightening out that steering angle, making the track as short as possible on the run up to the line. It is going to be a 138.1 for Somerville. That last lap was invalidated. Very unfortunate there for Somerville. He was on the second, well, he's still on the second row, but he, I'm sure, would have wanted to be in that coveted third position. And the way how this track is laid out, I think pole starts on the inside for the first corner. So being in third, actually, depending on how you look at it, may or may not have been an advantage. So we're going to see how things unfold here. A very exciting qualifying session. Jaden Harrison in P1, the man on pole with a 137.7. Less than a tenth behind is Roger Robinson. Raven Plummer with a 138.1 behind Robinson. Senna Somerville rounding out the second row at 138.1. Only 800ths of a second between himself and Plummer. Roger Keller at 138.2. Another half a tenth between himself and Somerville. Mikhail Charles showing that he does have that speed we were alluding to earlier, a 138.2 for him, and 2.5 tenths behind him is Kimani Eastman, followed by Joshua Brady, only 3 tenths behind him. Stefan Tremblay, a 139.9, just about a second behind Brady, and Nicholas Donald, our resident chief steward and the commissioner of the sim racing for the JMMC, in 10th position. He will have the best view in the house for the start of this race, that was perhaps a strategic qualifying session from Nicholas. He gets to make sure there's no untoward action going on there around heading into the first couple of corners for the first lap, because we know how these drivers are. We know they are very opportunistic, and no one wants to settle for the first to finish, or the first to lose rather, in second position. So we're going to see a lot of jostling for positions heading around, especially this first lap. And it's just about a minute until we get going. There is our safety car, or Porsche 911 991, I believe, GT3R is the safety car. That is quite a safety car. And we're going to expect to be seeing that car some more. Well, actually, I hope we don't see it apart from for the starts, but, due to a few technical issues, we're going to see that car parked up, just for this time around. That thing will be definitely gracing the track, either tomorrow or whenever we have our next event, which is going to be coming up soon. It's 6 red lights here at Brands Hatch. Jaden Harrison on pole position on the inside, like we said, and it's a rolling start, ladies and gentlemen. I might have gotten you a bit, a bit hyped up there, but it's a rolling start from now on for the CTCC, or rather, we're testing it out here tonight. Let's see what happens going forwards. So, drivers will be keeping it rather clean on this, technically the first lap. But this is to ensure that all the drivers have their tires up to 10, and, to minimize the risk of collision or accidents on the first lap. So the Mitsubishi Lancer leads them away, followed by the Chevy Cruze of Roger Robinson and the Cruze as well of Raven Plummer. Senna Somerville, I believe, is donning that looks like the Corolla to me. As you see Jaden Harrison there weaving to get some heat into those tires. He is not playing around here tonight, coming off the back of a fantastic result. A fantastic result there in the Digital Autosport of Ukraine. P2, ladies and gentlemen, in an FIA regulated. As a matter of fact, if I didn't say it before, I'll say it again. We were invited by the FIA to participate in this sanctioned event, the Digital Autosport of Ukraine, in the GT3 Solo Endurance Series. It is our first time in that particular event, and Jaden Harrison making us proud in P2, and Joshua Brady as well coming home in P13 after having to do 2 drive-through penalties. It was an excellent event. And here is our president, Stephen Stewart, who can fill us in on what happened, give us some insight into that event.
Well, firstly, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me, as always, Mr. Roper. Well, we can get into that sooner than later, as we do have the rolling start. I would love to more explain what's been happening, as you did allude to it earlier. we are testing a new race start, which we have tested all week, and with technology, we have issues. So we've had a few race restarts, which are typically not as common, but this is our preseason, so we're just avidly trying to get as much practice and test done as possible. But as you have noticed, Kale, there is a new flag on the stream with the SC. It was yellow before. Typically, we would have a physical safety car, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, we are going to have to run it virtually as we are doing it today. So now we would see the drivers kind of lining up in double file as they would be coming around. At this point, the safety car would be heading back to the pits. Once we reach to 75% of the track on the formation lap, the drivers will then see a speed limit in which they will not be able to pass until after the green flag. So just to kind of give you guys a little walkthrough, at this point now, the safety car should have entered the pits. You should see that SC flag go red any second now. All right, so we're getting the 80, and then we'll get the red. And then once we go green, the lights will be out. And as you normally say, Mr. Ropo, away we go.
And the drivers are away indeed. The green flag drops. And there is Senna Somerville, or rather that's Robinson on the outside of Jaden Harrison trying to get around him, but it's not working. Jaden Harrison worked those tires to get them very grippy, and grippy they are indeed as he manages to hold on to that lead. Raven Plummer moves up into second position. There's contact there with, I believe that's Plummer and Harrison. Harrison manages to keep it pointed in the right direction, but it's doom and gloom for Raven Plummer here at the start of this race, where Jay Robinson leads us away. Now the man leading them away, Jaden Harrison in second position. Senna Somerville moves himself up into third position, but it's going to be a safety car, as that was an accident involving more than two cars there. So Stephen, well, you can continue to talk to us about that safety car period, about the flag system rather.
Sorry, just give me 1 second, Mr. Roper, as I am handling the restart. So just give me 1 minute, please. Just hold their attention for now.
So I'm not sure exactly what happened there. From my perspective, it looked as though Raven tried to go down the inside of Jaden Harrison, and it did not end up well for her. I'm not sure if that was Jaden Harrison who got tagged. We will definitely be looking at those replays coming up.
Right, Mr. Roper, I do apologize. We did have an incident compiling with more than 3 cars, and as you know, that stipulates a safety car restart. So we are now following with the person who was affected the most, Miss Raven Plummer. We will follow along with her until she comes around the final corner, in which we will then have a broadcasted countdown where they will follow suit and go. So yes, we'll pick up on that conversation in a second. I do apologize. Again, with technology does come with issues, so it's better to have it now in the preseason than have it when the season has gotten legit. So as you see at the top of the screen, you will see 3, 1, go. Green light, green light, green light. And as you can see now, Mr. Roper, the lights have been off, and Roger Robinson does lead the pack from Jaden Harrison, from Senna Somerville, from Mikhail Charles, from Roger Kello. I will let you take the mantle from now, and then I guess you can bring me in whenever you're ready.
Right, it is another chance for a start, and Jaden Harrison unable to make any moves there, but there's Roger Robinson going a bit too wide there. into turn 3, perhaps pushing just a little bit too much. But it's early days, still 17 minutes left in this race. Anything can happen. Steven, I'm going to ask you just for 1 minute, please.
Sure, no problem. As we are following Mr. Robinson, followed closely by Mr. Harrison, who is only a mere 5 tenths behind the leader. As we will see Stephen Tremblay popping up there, but I believe there was a disconnection with him. So excuse the timing sheets as they pass that section. But yes, Jaden, as Mr. Roper was alluding to earlier, was in his in the solo endurance race, in which he placed P2. He is one of our day one drivers. He is even participating in the 12 hours of Daytona for the World Sim Series, the third showing of the JSRA in that series. We've previously been in the 24, then the 12 of Spa, and now we are entering in the 12 hours of Daytona. One of our favorite tracks to drive, actually, but I'm very excited to have it in the midst. But while I do babble on, we do have Mr. Roger Keller from Switzerland chasing Mr. Somerville in the Toyota Corolla, following very closely, only 4 tenths behind Senna Somerville. So let's see if there will be any moves to be had. We know that the race car drivers typically have a target on their back, so looking forward to see how the rivalries will bud and the fights will ensue, as we do have Kimani Eastman taking it to Stéphane Tremblay, 4P7, lap 3 of the Brands Hatch preseason. Jaden Harrison now following very closely with Mr. Robinson. And again, folks, I will apologize. I am not the typical commentator, but in these instances, I do enjoy it. So, Mr. Harrison pounding on the back of that Chevrolet Cruze. Again, that driver there, Mr. Roger Robinson, the representative from Arteta Racing, who is one of the head designers of these Caribbean Touring Car Challenge, Caribbean Touring Cars that we've developed. So he, obviously being in P1, does understand it a little bit better than most, but does enjoy it at the same time. These are front wheel drive, recently turboed, so definitely enjoying themselves out there. It was definitely a good note when we saw Mr. Robinson in the 37s, because nobody has been past at 38.6. But as the usual followers of the Caribbean Touring Car knows, Mr. Robinson is typically the sandbagger of the bunch. So very excited to have him back. Glad to have you back as well, Mr. Roper, as I hear you in the background.
Roger Robinson is notorious for, well, he will never admit to it, but yes, we always see him in practice, like a third or fourth, and then when it comes to qualifying,
Miraculously.
yes, miraculously finds,
A
tenths
few
and
second or
sometimes
two.
exactly. It's absolutely crazy. I'm not sure if he not I'm just gonna be a little bit cheeky here and sneaky in a bit of the current news in the motorsport world. Not sure if he's doing some hammer time or something. Especially like how he's driving I believe that's a red car.
A red
So
Chevrolet
maybe
Cruze, correct.
uh,
Yes, not a
it doesn't
Ferrari,
matter what the
but
brand is. It doesn't matter if it's a brand, it's a red car, and you know what kids always say, it's a red car, it's a Ferrari. So so yes, he's finding a lot of time here, extending his gap over Jaden Harrison to a second. And I'm sorry I missed this. Mikhail Charles in third position. I mean, it's not news because we all know Mikhail Charles is very quick. Speaking of quick, Robinson setting the fastest lap time of them all at 1:37.4 so far. But Charles there bringing the fight to the known talent that is Senna Somerville. Only a half a second between them. And we're going to see that fight get even more fierce and ferocious. It is a three-way battle here between Charles Somerville and Keller. Roger Keller showing that, he may be driving a Corolla, but
Ooh.
maybe Toyota makes lawnmowers that he takes to the grass there. Excellent, um, excellent ability to keep it together. I know some guys,
Definitely.
as soon as they touch the grass, that
It's
car is
over for
gone.
them.
But
It's over for them.
the experience shining between the seams there, not quite falling apart, is his race so far. Losing a bit of time to Somerville and Charles ahead, but 11 minutes left, Stephen. So we're definitely going to be seeing some more battles up and down the grid. It's a bit of status quo, as it usually eventually gets to this point where the drivers are, they're settling in, they're trying to minimize the amount of mistakes they make, and the battles are usually few and far between, but this is the CTCC and anything can happen.
Yep.
I mean,
And
just like how I have no clue how Charles got into third position, we may see Eastman and Brady start climbing up the grid.
right. No, we were playing some highlights earlier. This is, as you said, this is the CTCC series. So, expect the unexpected. The fights always come at the most unusual points, at the points where we definitely need them. So, I did promise a lot of the drivers today, however, that I would not be mentioning them in commentary. I did make a promise that I would never do commentary after what happened last week. The curse. But that being said, hey, maybe it will throw in a little excitement at the same time. So who knows?
Well, Stephen, you made that promise. I did not. This is my job, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and that involves calling names the likes of Mikhail Charles and Senna Somerville, the two closest drivers on the field so far, just about a second between Somerville and Charles. Somerville seems to be closing in that gap in the first sector, but in the middle sector, Charles is extending the lead. Let's watch that delta between them as they come now through the final couple of corners, where it's all about bravery and braking technique, especially into this left-hander here, getting these front-wheel drive cars to slow down and rotate at the same time. It's not as easy as it sounds. Going through another tricky corner here, the final corner around the 4 kilometer, or rather 3.9 kilometer along Brands Hatch, and Mikhail Charles seems to be extending that lead quite comfortably, setting his fastest lap of the race, a 138.5. So it's looking good for Mikhail Charles at this point in time, and Senna Somerville in his Mitsubishi Lancer will be I'm sure the Somervilles are very used to the Lancer platform or the Mitsubishi platform at this point in time. So, he's enjoying himself. And let's not forget, it's preseason testing. So we know the drivers will be bringing their A game no matter what it is. It could be a Sunday drive. They're going to do it to the best of their abilities. But perhaps, drivers like Kimani Eastman, Joshua Brady, talents that we know are developing, up and coming drivers in the JSRA, perhaps not giving too much away here in the preseason, keeping the element of surprise as we head into the official season in just a couple of weeks, if not days here. And a friendly reminder to keep up to date with all that's going on here at the JSRA by just, following us on our social media handles. Search for us on Instagram at JSRA Official, on Facebook, Jamaica Simulation Racing Association, and catch us live or replays on Twitch at JSRA_official.
Kill, I feel like this would be a great opportunity to even remind you that Mr. Harrison, who is currently chasing down Mr. Robinson, those two will be racing together on team along with your other commentating host, Mr. Chad Dillon, as well as Mr. Mission Wallace.
And
Correct. Right.
Yep.
So always love to see these two battling it out, because especially in the CTC, they'll always find each other. It's just like that rivalry with Mr. Harrison and Mr. Eaton. that they say never is never really happening, or so they say. With that being said, yes, it is a gentle reminder, folks, that we will be entering in our 12 hours of Daytona. I did say it earlier, we will be streaming the drivers' point of views, and we are excited for it. We do believe we can place very high up in the standings. The GT3 class is getting bigger. I believe it's 36 teams in the GT3 and a little bit over 30 in the the GTPs, or what do you call it? Yeah, correct, the GTPs, right? So we are looking forward to that series, very, 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 very much, and we are excited to have you guys on board to watch. Stay with us. We were talking about it earlier that we do need to enter back into another 24 hours because of the fun that we had, which I'll use this as a moment to even big you up, Mr. Roper, as a 24-hour North Life of finisher. This would be a good time to go over that whole experience if you would like.
That experience, well, first of all, I always have to big up my other drivers first, Jaden Harrison, Chad Dillon, Joshua Brady, Kimani Eastman, and and myself as well, right? Right. That, that was the big one, the first big one, and we did so well finishing at all, in such a grueling race. And ladies and gentlemen, when we say 24 hours, you know what I mean? Like it's a full 24 hours. It started, I believe, at 5 a.m. on a Sunday and finished at 5 a.m. on the Saturday. And going up against drivers who do this in their sleep. This is their 10th time doing this. We've even had drivers, I believe, who do racing in real life that were a part of this event. And I was just proud to represent my organization, the Jamaica Simulation Racing Association, in that event, as well as my country, because we all took turns driving the green breadfruit.
The green breadfruit, the name of the livery.
That car, the BMW M235i, that car was amazing, and the entire experience, man, it was very challenging and grueling. 24 hours for all of us, doing or Jaden doing, I think, about 6 stints or something like that.
No,
He's an absolute animal.
But it was grueling, especially for him, because he took the final three stints, or 2 stints, sorry, which were at hour and change each. So doing that at last 3 stints, last 3 stints from 4 to 8 Jamaica time. So that was huge for us.
Absolutely carried us. I mean, I say carry, but it's, of course, it was a team effort. But I mean, tell you, we could not have done that. Right. We could not have done that. Even though those who weren't driving, I always say Joshua kept me awake when I was doing my sprint.
The vibe of the party.
Yep, and I'm telling you, all those guys, they're my brothers now, man. Going through something like that, it takes a serious mental toll, not just in terms of skill, but to keep a level head when problems arise, and to just talk each other through the problems, and the crew chiefing that was done. It was something else, and
it was epic.
It was epic indeed. I can't wait to do it again. Oh my goodness, what was that there from Joshua Brady, getting those drifting skills, putting them into use there in the final, the penultimate corner here around Brands Hatch, allowing Kimani Eastman to catch right up with only 2 3/4 of a minute left in this race. Kimani there seems to be backing off. But wow, almost throwing it away there was Joshua Brady in the red Lancer. And Kimani, I think, perhaps knows that he has about 2 laps worth of time to make something happen here. And he is staying right on the rear wing of Brady ahead of him. in the Ford Focus, I believe. Yes, the black Ford Focus there. Only 4 tenths between them as they head now into turn 4, taking different lines. Um, but it seems to be working for Eastman as he is closer than he was before. They are almost side by side. It is quarter to fender here, heading down the hill into the fast right-hander. Will Brady leave him the space? He does. Can Kimani make it work here around the outside? If he does, it will be amazing. If he doesn't, it's gravel. Brady leaves the space. Kimani looks back to the inside to make a move happen. Brady shuts the door on him, or rather leaves the space, but no one making a move there. It's very clean racing between these two as they crest the hill, turning to the right one more time. They will have another chance to do this. So Kimani Eastman has another chance here. He is very close to snatching this 6th position away from Brady. And I'm sure he wants it, but we know Kimani Eastman will be a very conservative, very clean driver. But with only one more chance left on the books, he's going to have to get the claws out here tonight. It has been 12 laps so far. Roger Robinson leading the pack is on his 13th and final lap, I believe, here around Brands Hatch, as we see Kimani Eastman and Jaden and Joshua Brady rounding the first corner for the final time in this race, taking an alternative line. There is Kimani Eastman, perhaps carrying a bit more speed, but ending up running wide. The gap now opening out to half a second, but Eastman managing to carry very much speed into that third corner, heading on to the fourth corner. He's taking that alternative line again. It worked for him before. Perhaps it will work again, getting that Ford Focus back into the rearview mirrors of Joshua Brady. But the gap seems to be opening a bit, or is it? He gets a better run coming out of turn 4. Heading down the backstretch now, he's going to have to carry much more speed than Brady. Going into the final sector now. That's it. The race is done. The time has elapsed, and we are waiting for Robinson to cross the finish line now. It's Robinson and Harrison coming across through the final corner to cross the line and finish this race. Roger Robinson finishes this race in P1, and Jaden Harrison follows in P2. But here is Eastman still on the heels of Joshua Brady through the final corner, and it looks as though Brady is going to hold on for that P6. Kimani Eastman will have to settle for P7 this time around. An excellent race from all drivers up and down the grid. Lovely stuff here tonight, Stephen.
Kale, as we said earlier, this race, this series, I cannot wait for the season, which, as you know, we will be starting with in the Caribbean tour. But the fights that it gives, we still have this car in development. We even have 2 more that will be coming up sooner than later. Hats off to the drivers, 100%, no problem, Kale. Hats off to the drivers as Mr. Robinson comes in P1, followed by Mr. Harrison P2. Mikhail Charles from Trinidad in P3, Senna Somerville in P4, Mr. Roger Kello in P5, followed by our JSRA driver, Mr. Joshua Brady. In P6, Kimani Eastman, our head and chief designer, livery designer, who even designed the infamous green breadfruit, as we mentioned earlier, and the one we use today are all of the livers that we've ever used, with the exception of the Caribbean touring cars in the past 3 months. He was a part of the 24-hour and will be a part of the race engineer team, followed by our newest member, Mr. Stéphane Tremblay, a Jamaican friend of Mr. Donald from Canada. He has been even helping us all week doing some tests. He's been a huge help. Excited and happy to have him on board, followed by our chief steward, Mr. Nicholas Donald, having a roughish race there, but we always have one bad one. We will have a reverse grid coming up which Miss Raven Plummer will be in P1, followed by Nicholas Donald in P2. So hopefully he can redeem from that, whatever was happening. I know we did mention to the drivers there is a 70% chance of rain. Very excited to see what will happen. That being said, we do have another exciting 20 minutes. Kale, did I hear you come back?
Yep, I'm here. I'm here, and I'm going to be here. Definitely keeping a keen eye on Nicholas Donald and Raven Plummer for the start of the reverse grid. Nicholas is going to have a lot of work doing. He had it easy starting at the back in the first race, but now he's going to have what's this? 9 charging CTCC cars in his rearview mirrors for this next race. So we're gonna see what happens. Nicholas Donald is gonna be on provision on pole rather not provisional. He will be on pole.
No, I think he would start in P2. I think Raven came last. So she
did?
would be starting on provisional pole, right? Which
My apologies.
would know her pace, sadly.
So Raven Plummer will be definitely starting in P1, followed by Nicholas Donald. And as you said, Stephen, we know the pace of Raven Plummer, so she may be running away with this one if she can keep it clean. The likes of Kimani Eastman, Joshua Brady, and Roger Keller, and not to mention Mikhail Charles, will definitely not be wasting any time. And we know how it goes. Jaden Harrison and Roger Robinson are going to be fighting their way through the pack like a pair of fighter jets with the afterburners on. So we are gonna say, I know some folks make sure they tune in for the reverse grid even more so than the first race, because they know that the reverse grid is going to be extremely exciting.
Mr. Ropo,
Seeing the fast drivers
sorry to
come
cut
through.
you. But did we see a sighting from Mr. Massive there in P12?
No matter what he says, he can't keep himself away from the CTCC cars, It's just a fact of life at this point. Speaking of such things, it is 6 red lights here to give us the start of the formation lap, if you will. It's a rolling start.
I will be stepping away for a second so I can maintain that safety car. So please enjoy the start, ladies and gentlemen.
So we see our yellow flag there as Nicholas Donald leads us away. So I'm not sure what's happening here. I think actually that it's the top 10 that is our reverse, and I think Raven may have finished outside of the top 10. So that would put her, yep, it puts her dead last, as a matter of fact, because she finished outside the top 10. So it is Nicholas Donald that will be starting on pole here for the reverse grid. It's going to be roughly 20 minutes of hacking and slashing through the pack for some drivers, while some drivers will be fighting to keep their position. Senna Somerville starting in 6th. We saw him fighting with Mikhail Charles and Roger Keller. We're going to see round 2 for those 3 drivers. Roger Robinson, Raven Plummer, and Jaden Harrison will be trying their best to get through cleanly. We know their pace is absolutely supreme, and the likes of Kurt Moss gracing us with his presence here around Brand Hatch for the reverse grid tonight. Joshua Brady is in a fantastic position to keep himself up there in the top 4, and Kimani Eastman, I think, is the one with all to lose starting in P3. Nicholas Donald and Stephane Tremblay will lead us away, coming through now the middle, going into the final sector. The drivers are 2 abreast, coming through the final couple of corners, weaving and ensuring those tires are up to temperature. Let us see how things unfold. It's going to be the Toyota from the Ford, followed by another Ford, and I believe that is another Ford. A lot of Fords there at the front this time around. Yep, that's a Toyota, then a Ford, then a Ford, then a Lancer, then a Ford. It's a lots of Fords here for some reason. Perhaps they know something that we don't, but regardless of what you're driving, we are coming up to the start finish line. The drivers are doing 80 kilometers per hour, waiting for that light to go green. It's round 2 of Brands Hatch, and it's a green light, and away we go into the first corner. Nicholas Donald keeping his inside line. And every driver, they are side by side, but the drivers seem to be getting through cleanly. Nicholas, they're running a bit wide, and it's an easy pass for Somerville and Tremblay heading into the second corner, the hairpin. Eastman now trying to keep that position from Mikhail Charles, and it looks like he manages to do so, but Mikhail Charles will have the inside heading into turn 3. Eastman leaves him the space, and it's Tremblay running out wide, pushing Senna Somerville into the lead of this race, followed by Tremblay, Mikhail Charles, and Eastman losing out that P3. Joshua Brady in P5, followed by Roger Keller and Rajay Robinson. We were expecting something from Somerville, Brady, and Keller, as well as Robinson, but it looks as though Somerville is the one on top for now. But coming into the turn 5, the fast turn 5, it's going to be side by side between Mikhail Charles and Tremblay once again, but Mikhail Charles manages to snatch that position away. And now we are coming through the middle and the final sector. Senna Somerville is leading us. It seems as though he really fancies these CTCC cars, as he's doing very well thus far in the preseason. Almost finished with a lap here. That's a bit dirty there from Tremblay, but he manages to keep it clean. Coming through the final corner here, and it's Kimani Eastman in 4th position there in the Ford Focus. I said he was the one without to lose, and he manages to lose out actually 3 positions. But the first lap under the belt, and it's Senna Somerville leading us away, starting the second lap. 18 minutes left to go. Can he keep this lead? But it looks as though Eastman is going to go for a move on Tremblay heading into the third corner. A bit of carnage there. The exit of the first corner. Roger Keller coming off worse for wear there. And I believe Raven Plummer as well. And in the middle of the pack, there is so much going on. Kimani Eastman battling about 3 drivers all at once here, but he is still side by side with Joshua Brady. These two can't leave each other alone. But it's Brady now in P3, followed by Eastman. What happened to Tremblay? Tremblay losing out there massively from P2 to P8. Not sure what happened there. We'll have to look back, but they are side by side. Is Eastman, Robinson, and Harrison. Harrison trying to pick through the field, as is Moss, being very opportunistic here and staying right behind Harrison. A bit of contact there between Moss and Robinson there, heading through the fast right-hander. That is a bit of an unfortunate situation there for Robinson, but with his pace, we'll definitely see him come back into the fray. But right now, it's Harrison and Moss chopping up this group of drivers here with some decisive action. And in only 3 laps, they have moved from the back now to the, well, smack dab in the middle of this grid.
Dab. Wow. The man of many words.
And it's Somerville still leading us. Mikhail Charles not allowing him to get away at all. Only 3/10 between them. The Lancers battling it out here. Charles basically pushing him around the corner there. Both of these drivers have something to prove here tonight. Mikhail Charles having finally moved over to a wheel and pedal setup. He has gotten up to speed quite quickly and showing us that he is a force to be reckoned with. Raven Plummer there making light work of Tremblay heading through turn 4, coming over the hill, and Plummer now finds herself up into P7. A bit of a ways off from her rival, Kurt Moss, who is very close to the back of Jaden Harris, who is pressuring Kimani Eastman, who is still in a fight here with Joshua Brady, while the two at the front, Somerville and Charles, have about 2.5 seconds. between themselves and the charging pack. Here is Eastman going side by side with Jaden Harrison. Jaden Harrison took him on the inside, but Eastman says no and closes the door. But here he is now about to lose 2 positions heading into the penultimate corner. Now coming through the final corner, can Moss get past Eastman as well? Harrison finally manages to get away from Moss behind him. And he's trying to extend that lead, but Moss is on the inside for the first corner. It's going to be about who breaks last here. And Eastman is knocking off there side by side through the first corner. Moss leaves him the space, but it doesn't matter how much space he left him. He still could not hold off the charging Mustappen. And there is Raven Plummer making a move on the heels of Moss trying to get past Kimani Eastman. I don't care if you call it commentator's curse. I said what I said and I meant it. Eastman was the one who had everything to lose here with this much talent behind him. And it seems as though he was able to put up an excellent fight, try as he might, but he could not keep them behind. Can he keep up with them though? As we have about 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes left to go in this race. And Mikhail Charles is still trying to find a way past Senna Somerville, but Somerville is no rookie here. A rookie only in time spent on here at the JSRA. There's a bit of contact there between Charles and Somerville. Charles is sideways, but manages to keep it pointed in a straight line. Mikhail Charles trying desperately to get past Somerville, while we see here Jaden Harrison almost pushing Joshua Brady out the way, trying to get past him. He knows he has a charging Mustappen behind him, and he cannot. He can't. We're getting more accustomed to this phrase here at the JSRA. The driver them can't lay. You see me? They need to get a move on, and Jaden Harrison is absolutely pushing, giving it his all, as is Rajay Robinson towards the back of the grid, but still sets the fastest lap of them all, a 137.8 from Robinson. But I suppose that's because he has the clear air behind Tremblay in 9th position. And there's Harrison running a little bit wide. This may open the door to Kurt Moss behind him, as the gap has widened to Senna Somerville up ahead. So Mikhail Charles may have to start looking in his rearview mirror and focusing not on what is ahead of him, but what's behind him, because what's behind him is 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers of extreme talent who don't intend on staying where they are now. There's contact between Harrison and Brady. I said Harrison was trying to push Brady out the way, and it looks as though I was right, as Harrison now moves up into P3, followed by Kurt Moss into P4. Brady there going a little bit sideways, not able to drift these cars, though they are front-wheel drive, try as he might. And it's going to be 3 positions in 2 corners lost for Joshua Brady. These 3, Harrison, Moss, and Plummer, are wasting no time at all. 12 minutes left to go. It's as though every single lap, these Harrison, Moss, and Plummer gain about 2 positions. It's very, oh my goodness, I don't even know what to say. I'm at a loss for words. The performance from these drivers, as you see Robinson there managing to get past Stefan and makes his way up to the back of Eastman, who is right on the back of Brady. He seems to be losing steam here, perhaps. I would be a bit concerned for myself. I'd be questioning things myself if I was Joshua Brady. How did I just lose 3 positions? Like, I blink and I lose one, I blink again and I lose another one.
But
I
so
would
did
stop
Kimani.
blinking,
But so did Kimani,
Oh
and
my
that's the
goodness.
amazing part. Because now, just like in race 1, we find Kimani on the back of Mr. Joshua Brady. So again, we're looking for the action. Sorry to cut you, I had to say.
No, but you're absolutely right. We know that as I said, it's a miracle we don't see Roger Robinson somehow next to Jaden Harrison, because Harrison, Moss, and Robinson are always battling it out. But in the absence of Robinson, Raven Plummer is absolutely, it's not even just keeping up. She's keeping these two on their toes. And Kimani Eastman and Joshua Brady are back at it again for the second time in a row here around Brands Hatch. But here's Kurt Moss in the Corolla trying to find a way past Jaden Harrison. Jaden Harrison, since having raced so many series with Kurt Moss, I know he's learned a thing or two about a thing or two from Moss. Moss possibly regretting sharing the trade secrets with Harrison, as now he's finding it quite difficult to get past him.
Ooh.
Even though he is trying to go up the inside, Jaden seemed to have left the space there, but it didn't come off cleanly for those two drivers. Jaden coming off worse there. But it looks as though Kurt is waiting for Jaden, a bit of sportsmanship there. He is aware of the fact that he made a mistake, but this allows Robinson to catch Steven.
As you said, again, I'm going to predicate all of this right back to the rivalries. They are inseparable. That is the commentator's curse. You did it last week, or I did it last week. The same exact thing with the same two people, Mr. Massive and Mr. Harrison, on the final corner at the Imola circuit. I called it, and I was so sorry for it. And now you did the same thing. That being said, I am so happy for it.
Harrison, Moss, and Robinson cannot get enough of each other at this point on track. It is a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars. It's Eastman leading Moss. That's no longer the case as Moss makes the overtake. Now it's Moss, Harrison, Eastman. Or rather, I think Eastman just let them all by. He's saying, "This is not my cup of soup. This is a bit too hot for me." All that's going here is we see Jaden Harrison pushing that Corolla around the final corner. These two seem to have a bone to pick with each other. They have made a bit of contact, but they say Robbins racing, and we know that it was not, there's no deliberate contact here in the JSRA, or drivers are much too sophisticated. But as I see Eastman going down the inside of Robinson on the exit of the first corner, heading now through the hairpin, Ken Robinson clap back, heading now into turn 3. As we see Kurt Moss there losing the back of his Corolla and allowing Jaden Harrison to move the inside. Now they are side by side heading into turn 4. Those brake lights lighting up. And we saw Eastman make use of the alternative line, but it doesn't seem to be working out for Kurt Moss here, who goes off the track. Just a bit of a bump there from Harrison, overworking those tires and brakes. I'm sure, there's definitely a smile on both of their faces at this point in time. Such intense racing, it's never boring, it's never a dull moment, especially when Harrison and Moss are in such close proximity to one another. But Eastman is now the one who is applying the pressure to Harrison. Maybe with Moss out of the picture, he is more interested in getting himself relevant here. But it looks as though Robinson is going to quickly force him to look in the rearview mirrors. Less than a tenth between them here, heading down the start-finish straight, where Jay Robinson has the inside for the first corner. And I saw Eastman give it away here a couple of laps earlier. Maybe he'll try a switchback. So Jay Robinson seems to be comfortably in that position now, but it's now a threesome up at the lead of this race. Senna Somerville still leading this race, having soaked up pressure from Mikhail Charles, but Charles cracking almost immediately as soon as Raven Plummer arrived to the scene. Wow, that actually raises a big question. If Somerville was able to keep the pressure and not crack under pressure from Charles, but Charles was so quick to crack under pressure from Plummer, what will happen between Somerville? Plummer moves, switches back to the outside. Oh my goodness! She is slicing and dicing out there. She feigned to the inside and forced Somerville to go defensive, and it's all unraveling here. She is making light work of these two. Oh my goodness, that was absolutely amazing from Plummer there. We're gonna have to. That one is definitely a highlight. I can't believe what I just. Well, I can definitely believe it, but that was absolutely amazing. Raven Plummer wasting no time at all, getting past both Charles and Somerville, and now leads this race with only 5 minutes to go. A 138.7 from her that time around. Excellent move there. That's definitely going to be my move of the race so far. Raven Plummer, hats off
As
to
you
her.
said, Kale, I think that is something we are going to definitely start implementing for the 2024 season. On top of instant replays, we will be looking into having driver of the day voting to kind of incorporate the fans a little bit more in our races, because we're seeing moves like these. We cannot leave them untouched as Mr. Harrison makes a move on Mr. Brady. I'll let you take over there, but yes, very excited for that.
Brady is not finished as yet, as they were side by side heading through turn 4, and Brady is still there, but Harrison will have the inside for the fast right-hander here. Will Brady leave the space? Will he back off? He does not. It's side by side heading through there, and another fast right-hander coming up. This is where we saw Plummer make light work of Somerville and Charles, but it seems as though Harrison is able to solidify that move,
And
and
guess
Roger
who's
Robinson
behind
follows
him?
in suit. And look behind them, it's Kurt Moss trying to get past Kimani Eastman. Eastman is, I'm definitely not going to say holding up, because he's not a placeholder. He's not traffic. He's absolutely forcing these drivers to work for it if they want the position. I don't think he has made any contact with anybody so far. Even, you know, finding himself in this era where he is fighting among some of the top talent here at the JSRA. Kimani Eastman still keeping it clean, as we expect from him now. He is a symbol of racing etiquette and racecraft. Unfortunately for him, there, Kurt Moss managing to get past and now sets his sights on a familiar target, Jaden Harrison. Further behind, unfortunately, J. Robinson there, I think, or actually it was Joshua Brady, just going a bit wide and making a bit of contact with the grass. And now behind him is Roger Robinson and Stephen Tremblay, who are Tremblay still trying to get past Robinson. He's closer than ever before now in the blue Ford Focus, as Robinson tries to reel in Joshua Brady. About 2 laps, maybe 2.5 laps here left to go. We had 13 races, we had 12 racing laps last time around, and we're gonna have about that again here for the reverse grid. But so far it's Raven Plummer leading us, well, leading everyone by over 5 seconds at this point in time. Senna Somerville showing Mikhail Charles how it's done. Mikhail must be getting a tad bit frustrated now, with this. He must be tired of seeing the brake lights of this Lancer in front of him, specifically Senna Somerville's Lancer's brake lights, as he has been trying so valiantly to get past Somerville, but Somerville putting on a masterclass. I know everybody expected me to say it, but it is what it is. It is a masterclass in racecraft. It's not just defensive driving, but driving on a whole. Racing on a whole. It's one thing to catch and another thing to pass. And Somerville showing us exactly what that means. So is J. Robinson, who has Joshua Brady behind him. Robinson, they're running very wide, but managing to keep that speed up and keeps the position over Joshua Brady. Tremblay behind has Roger Keller only 3/10 behind him, trying to make a position up, but nothing doing for him as yet. As a matter of fact, Killer gets past Tremblay, and there are side by side Tremblay and Killer heading now down the backstretch. Through that fast right hander comes Tremblay and Killer, and it looks as though Tremblay is going to hold on to that position for now as they head into the final sector. 30 seconds left in this race as Raven Plummer crosses the start finish line again. That means we are going to have 13 racing laps for this race. And the positions are as follows: Raven Plummer still leading the pack. Senna Somerville still in second position, soaking up pressure from Mikhail Charles in third. Jaden Harrison 3 seconds adrift of him, with Kurt Moss behind him for company. Kimani Eastman in sixth position behind Moss in fifth. Roger Robinson trying to hold off Joshua Brady in seventh and eighth, respectively. Roger Keller trying to keep this position he just made on Tremblay through the final sector, heading onto the final lap of this race. Heading now through turn two, the hairpin. Roger Keller now trying to just keep it clean and finish up this race. And Nicholas Donald rounds out the grid in 11th position. Stephen, before the end of this race, I already said what was my move of the race, but it's not just the move. Who would you say is your driver of the race?
My driver of the race. Well, that is how we have to do it now. How are we judging it? Is it of both race 1 and race 2, or is it just race 1 driver of the race and then race 2 driver of the race? How would you do it as, say, a fan of the sport?
I would give two drivers the chance to shine here in the CTCT, seeing as though we have the reverse grids. We may have one driver do very well, but they finish last in the first race and then finish first in the second race because they would have started on pole position, as we see Raven Plummer crossing the line now to finish in the first position. So I would say for each race, we have we can have a move of the race but that covers both races, but a driver of each race.
All right. So for race 2, hands down, coming from last place or second to last place, I don't remember if it was she or Mr. Massive, starting in the back or definitely last. But Raven, 110% driver of the day for race 2, which would have been her second driver of the day vote by me, being very honest. And then in race 1, it was between Mr. Robinson and Mr. Harrison. And at the end of the day, it does come down to the king, Mr. Sandbagger, Mr. Robinson, for driver of the day for race 1.
All right, I hear you. I respect it. But for me, for race 2, I'm gonna have to give it to Somerville for the driver of this race. He just because it was free of drama, it doesn't mean that wasn't an excellent performance there. Mikhail Charles, I don't think I think this 7/10 of a second between them at the end of the race is the widest that gap has been for the entirety of this race. To keep charging Charles behind, it was no easy feat, and that was an excellent performance from him. So he's my driver for the second race. We all know my move of both races is definitely Raven Plummer, and she did an excellent job as well, coming from basically doing a last to first challenge here. It was an absolute pleasure to watch her make light work of Senna and Mikhail. But race 2 goes to Somerville for me. For race 1, oh my, I'm not even sure. So much happened in race 1.
Let's have a quick chat then, Mr. Roper, with the aforementioned names. We could start with who won the first race. That was Mr. Robinson, followed by Jaden. Who was in P3? Remind me, please. Was that? I'll have to check back.
I think it was it Somerville?
Not 100% sure, but regardless, I am going to pull Mr. Somerville first to be interviewed. So that being said, Mr. Somerville, Seno, you can hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, bro. Well, you will be. Well, Kale, you can take they go ahead with the interview as always.
Right. So, Senna, congrats on this finish. It is your second time out here in the preseason in the CTCC series. And firstly, I'd just like to say you are my driver of the second race. To put up with so much pressure from Charles for the entire race, excellent race there from you. But you can just take us through your race quickly. How was it for you?
I mean, it was good. We had some good pace at the start, and then just tired kicked in. My legs are like shaking. And then I was started to make some mistakes, and they caught up. And then we had a little touch, and after that, my wheel just fully like went full torque mode. So after that, it was like a gym session. um, so
Wow.
I was fighting the wheel the whole time, but it wasn't that it didn't take that long to get used to it because it almost made me more smooth, but at the same time, it was just so hard to like point the car where you want it to go. But
Right.
but no, it was a good end. Raven, I think, flew by both of us. That was kind of impressive. That took me by a storm, but yeah, it was a great race.
Yeah, that was quite a move there. As soon as Raven caught up to Charles, made light work of him and wasted no time getting past you there in the middle sector. But
None, none at all. I was hoping they had a little battle and gave me some space to run away, but no, she just took both of us one time. So
an excellent performance there from all drivers involved. Congrats one more time, Senna Somerville.
thank you,
So no, big up as always, bro. We'll
thank you.
talk. We'll talk.
Yeah, man.
All right, so I'm gonna bring Mr. Harrison over next. The next JSRA racer. Mr. Harrison, are you hearing us?
Yeah, sorry.
All right, good evening, bro. Always happy to hear from you. Mr. Oppo, as always, you can take over.
Congratulations on that race one finish there, Jaden. An excellent race, in both race one and race two. Exciting stuff from the start to the finish. You and you, Kurt, Roger, and Plummer, absolutely inseparable. Take us through those races for you.
So yeah, it was pre-season, so it, I was trying out a new car that didn't go so well in race one. Um, had zero pace for the whole race, but in race two now, jumped in the Ford and it was just amazing battle with everybody. I did say I did tap Joshua one time, but apart from that, it was like full clean, two wide everywhere. It was amazing racing from everybody. It was very fun.
And it was very fun to watch, Jaden. You guys are going side by side through almost every corner around this track. It was lovely to watch. You definitely gave the viewers something to be on there. You kept them on the edge of their seats. And we saw that unfortunate bit of contact there between you and Kurt in the hairpin. But as I said, it's preseason testing, so we're finding the limits and trying out different cars. So, let's say Robbins Racing anyway, but, an excellent drive there from you and all parties involved. So, congrats on that finishing position.
Yes, no racing incident, but thank you for the commentary.
My pleasure.
Uh, Thank you, man.
And we Yeah, Mike, check 1, 2.
Mr. Roger Robinson, I
Hey,
hope you don't rewatch the stream. That's the first thing I want to say. I hope you don't rewatch the stream. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. There was no commentators curse on my
uh,
career. I'm
yeah, all of
joking.
a
I'm
sudden
joking.
my car was in the grass. So I'm wondering what happened with the commentary, you know?
Man, if anybody should hate me, it should be Jaden and Kurt. I said that you guys are inseparable, and immediately you just found each other in the second race. I don't know how that works. That's you guys' fault, not mine. But an excellent racing there. Very eventful
Yeah,
racing for you this time around in the preseason. You can just take us through your races, please.
I mean, yeah, race one was, I wouldn't say pretty easy, but once Jaden made a mistake, coming off the first corner, then I could focus on, putting in some solid time, and I guess he would have to play catch up, so he would make way more mistakes than I did. So I got away with the first race, setting a fast time as well. Again, the potential was there for I think 36.9, but I couldn't put a good lap together, so it went to 37.4. But yeah, race one was really good. Race two, however, the intention was to race all the way to the front, keeping safe, out of trouble, but trouble found me, and I had to play catch up.
Well, while it might have been a struggle for you, it was certainly a pleasure to watch, you guys going side by side, almost three wide there through some sections. And Jaden Harrison and Kimani Eastman notably did not make it easy for you at all.
Yeah.
As you guys made it through the pack. But, congrats on that first race result. And thank you so much for the work you've done here at the JSRA, even with the CTCC cars. So
Yeah.
we'll be keeping an eye on you. We expect some more close racing in the events to come. And congrats again.
Yeah, thank you. Brands Hatch is one of my favorite tracks, so yeah, good to go. All right. You're seven. All right, thank you.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Here is, I'm joined by Raven Plummer, or President Stephen Stewart's driver of the day. Raven, that was, oh my goodness, those moves you made there in that second race, especially to get past P1 and P2, absolutely sublime. The move of the
Thank
entire
you.
session, it was
Thank you.
excellent work. Take us through your races.
Well, the first race was terrible. I accidentally bundled Jaden turn 1. He just went a little bit slower than I thought, and I braked a little bit later than I really needed to. And I hit him, went wide. And because I slowed down because of that, I got bundled from the back also. So Jaden ended up not losing too many positions. I ended up at the back of the safety car there. And when I finally got the green flag and we started racing again, I got bundled again. I'm trying to make a double overtake in race 1. So I just retired and waited for race 2 and, just used all that pent up frustration from a terrible race 1 to make the best of race 2 and did fantastic. I'm very happy that P1 and P2 were fighting so much because it allowed me to catch up and pass them ultimately.
And if we can just stay on that move for like just a moment, because
Absolutely.
I can't overstate it at all. It was absolutely amazing. Coming around that fast right-hander, I saw you putting the pressure on Mikhail Charles, and then when you got past him, that dummy you did on Somerville ahead, it was calculated. It was
Absolutely
masterful, and it was I don't know, man.
I could not spend a single second letting them or getting caught up in the fight because I needed to pass them. Otherwise, I was going to get stuck in P2, sandwiched between two fast racers. So, make the most of the momentum I had, throw a dummy, make the move, and then rely on P3 fighting with P2 to make the move stick. And then from there, just pull away as best I can.
toward the end there, you had about 5 seconds worth of a gap between yourself and P2. So, that strategy definitely played off, and your waiting out the first race was not at all in vain. So, congrats on that race win.
Thank you.
Very well deserved. And
Thank you.
we expect to see a lot more of that coming up as the preseason draws to a close and our official season starts. We're
Absolutely.
definitely going to be seeing some more exciting racing action from you, Raven.
Yes, absolutely. I intend to give the best races possible.
So that's
I'm here to
all
win.
we can ask for. That is exactly what we want to hear. So thank you so much for joining us, and congrats again on that race victory.
Thank you for the congrats and for hosting all of this. It's fantastic racing.
It's what we do.
No problem. Thank you. Absolutely. Take care, y'all.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it brings an end to tonight's proceedings. I can't even call it a proceeding. That sounds like funeral. It brings an end to tonight's action-packed, energetic racing, and that's exactly what it was. I always come into these things saying, I'm just going to relax and try and save my voice for the next event. But boy, no matter how much water I drink, these guys just keep putting out an excellent performance, and it gives us something to talk about. Not a dull moment at all this time around. This is our official pre-season testing, a taste of things to come in the upcoming 2024 Jamaica Simulation Racing Association season. We'll be looking at more CTCC events, GTD, LMDH, or Porsche Cup, and a Radical series. We'll also be having exhibitions. So, the drift fans, the NASCAR fans, there's going to be something for everyone coming up soon. We'll be posting our official season calendar soon here in the month of February. And you can stay in the loop by following us on social media. On Instagram at JSRA Official, search for us on Facebook, Jamaica Sim Racing Association, and watch us live on Twitch or catch our replay VODs on Twitch as well at JSRA_official. My name is Kelvin Rober. I've had the pleasure of being your host this evening. I was joined by our president, Stephen Stewart, and we're going to be signing off for the night. Thank you so much for watching. Good evening.